wow, it still amazes me that Mortal Kombat has been around for 30 years, and the way it's going, it could be around for several more decades.
Excellent!
Just imagining it being the year 2062 and you're playing the latest Mortal Kombat title, ripping the spines out of the naive who are so stupid to take on some of the old school gamers who had been there since the beginning.
You're goddamn right.
But anyway, that type of thinking I'll save for the future. And of course, this being the final part of my Mortal Kombat Games videos, I have one question. Have you watched part 1 and 2?
Oh crap.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm disappointed if you haven't, but you know what you need to do to make things right. But for those that have watched part 1 and 2, let's carry on and finish the journey. Now, ever since Mortal Kombat shook the very foundations of the arcade all the way back in the 90s, the series would go on to have a multitude of amazing titles. Each of them improved upon the predecessor with better gameplay, out of this world graphics, and of course, a large plethora of fighters to choose from. Obviously, players have their favourites, and while some characters have appeared in every single game, others are sometimes left out, or even disappearing from the franchise entirely.
What?
But just imagine a Mortal Kombat title that almost has every single character available. Sounds exciting, doesn't it? And this is exactly what happens when it comes to Mortal Kombat Armageddon.
Wow.
Armageddon was the 7th game within the Mortal Kombat franchise, and with over 60 characters available to play as, it was a massive increase compared to the other titles. And as great as this was, there was also the option of creating a fighter that was unique to the player. Just imagine somewhere out there is an abomination that could easily replace the demon in your nightmares, or that entity that stalks you in the middle of the night from the street below. Upon its release, Mortal Kombat Armageddon was quite popular, but at the same time, it couldn't quite seem to emulate the same magic as the previous games, and certain events would lead the series to lay dormant for a number of years, before entering a reboot of sorts.
Oh really?
Now, before I carry on, there is another game that is kind of a spin-off of sorts, and for those that have been wondering, where exactly does Mortal Kombat vs DC fit within the series? Well, I feel that warrants its own video in the future, plus it's super fun to play.
Awesome.
As I just mentioned, the Mortal Kombat series would enter a reboot of sorts, with the release of a new title in 2011. But unlike Deadly Alliance, Deception, and even Armageddon, it seemed that Mortal Kombat 9 had returned to its arcade roots. The gameplay had reverted back to the 2D style of the original trilogy, but was still 3D, essentially 2.5D. Confused? Don't worry. But anyway, this allowed for more intense and violent action when it came to the fighting. Some of Mortal Kombat's beloved characters never looked so good, but there was something else that made Mortal Kombat 9 even better than it already was. And this, of course, was the extreme violent X-ray mode. That really showed off the essence of pain. The X-ray mode gave players the chance to really rub it in the face of their opponents, kinda like, "Ooh, I'm so strong, I just kicked your teeth in." Mortal Kombat 9 was massively successful, not only with new players, but with old school gamers who could relive those nostalgic moments of the 90s.
Nice.
And it was from this popularity that Mortal Kombat X would bicycle kick its way into the world of gaming in 2015. Players of all ages would flock to buy Mortal Kombat X. The gameplay was even faster than ever before, as well as being more violent, especially when it came to the fatalities. These fatalities were even more gruesome than before, and this is just one of the reasons as to why Mortal Kombat X became one of the fastest selling games within the franchise, which if you think about it, is quite impressive.
Neat.
Now it was 4 years later that the world of gaming was blessed to have the latest installment of the Mortal Kombat series. Mortal Kombat 11 continued with the same style of gameplay. However, the action was slowed down slightly in favour of a more story-driven plot. But news to the series was the gaming mechanic known as Fatal Blows, which was similar to X-ray mode to a certain extent, but could only be accessed under special circumstances.
Now, one way of describing this is like a last-ditch effort, where essentially you have the opportunity to turn the fight around and land a deadly blow.
When comparing Mortal Kombat 11 to the original arcade hit of the 90s, it's pretty fair to say that the franchise has warranted its 30-year history with the illustrious world of gaming.
But what lays in store for the Mortal Kombat series? Will it continue the story of the main timeline, or will it merge universes with the likes of Tekken, Virtua Fighter 2, and of course my personal favourite, Street Fighter 2?
He said it! He said it!
And sadly, this does bring our adventure to an end, but I have a question for you guys at home. Which game within the Mortal Kombat franchise is your favourite, and who's the best character? Now, if you've watched part 1, 2 and even this video, you can kind of guess who my favourite character is. Anyway, come back next time where I take a look at a console that was a powerhouse of the 90s and some of its classic games. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next game.